Hi, this is Amber and Sam from Lipstick Lies and Liberation. Today, our episode is going to be Closure is a Myth. Here's what actually sets you free. So, in our podcast, we talk about different issues that relate to women with their life, relationships, and kind of break that down and try to go through that. So, with closure being a myth, Sam, how do you feel about that? Because I'd love to know because I have a hard time with closure and feeling like I've had closure.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think closure is a myth or isn't a myth?
No, I think it's not a. Ugh. Okay, so I would originally want to say I don't think it's a myth because I do feel like when something in my life ends, I like to feel like I have closure. Like I talked about it, I processed my feelings, I kind of realized what happened and I'm moving on. But it might be a myth because honestly, if I look back at certain things that I wanted like closure on, I don't know if I ever really got it. I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever had like one conversation and walked away and felt like I was better. Like it might be a process. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. This is Lena, everyone, if you're watching the video, but my
So
cat.
cute.
Um, yeah, no, that's a great point. I think it's both. Like it's a myth and it's not a myth. I think I have very strong opinions about closure and me and Amber have had many conversations where she's like, I just want closure. And I'm like, you have closure. And she's like, no, I don't. Or like, I'm like, closure doesn't exist. So, um, but it's, yeah, closure is one of those things that I think the aspect of it that makes it a myth is, well, one of the aspects is that everything is cyclical. So, like, when we go through something, we always revisit that lesson that we learned, and it's
Mhm.
a cyclical thing. So, like, the grief may pop up, or a lesson that we learned from that experience will come up in another time in life. And so, it's like, you might have had closure that made you feel like, okay, this chapter is complete. I'm moving on. But life will revisit that thing, and it might be a different color or a different flavor of that same lesson, but it will get triggered again and again and again. And that's just life. I really think life, like we grow in a spiral. And yeah, it's like the seasons. It just comes and goes. And so I think wanting that perfect bow on top of a situation or a relationship can actually, I think it can be rooted in two things. You can either come from a really healthy place of like, I want closure because I want to establish a rooted sense of understanding and like have self-love and self-worth and like be reflective, which is like a healthy thing to do. And the other side of it is like, I need closure so I can feel safe because I have fear around whatever happened. And it's like the fear of I need closure because if I don't get closure, then maybe I did something wrong or I didn't understand something. Or what if I repeat it? So it's like there's an energy of fear versus an energy of love. And so knowing which one you're operating from when it comes to seeking closure, I think is really powerful and a way to orient yourself and to like just be like a witness to yourself. Like it doesn't have to be right or wrong or like there's no self-shaming. Like if someone's experiencing fear and like wanting that closure because they're like, well, if I don't get closure, what if I repeat this? Or what if I have this similar relationship? Or what if it was my fault and there was something I could have done differently? Or I think that can just be really like that's rumination, that's OCD, that's like unhealthy. Like that's proven to make your brain worse when you have a problem and you keep ruminating on it from a stressful state, like in your body, that actually makes your brain worse, like in neuroscience, like it's proven. So if you just like relax and you allow yourself like some space and time and root into a like a place of love, then and then revisit the closure, that actually is like very powerful and it's really, really healthy. Um, but I think closure, like when you need closure, like there was that 6 year long love affair that was really intense that I mentioned in the Emily in Paris episode.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted closure on that so bad when I was that age. And after that happened, I was like, oh, I want closure. Like, I need to know the truth. But I had closure. Like,
Yeah.
if we were gonna, yeah, if we were gonna be together, we would have been together. If it was gonna happen a certain way, it would have, like, if they were gonna, like, show up and do the things they needed to do, they would have. So it's just this, like, it's a never ending what if game. And, um, yeah, there have been a lot of things in my life that I wanted closure on so badly from this place of like trying to force something to happen in order for me to know that I was okay and worthy and loved and safe, and that like even if it didn't work out with this person or this situation, that like in the future things would be okay because I resolved that previous thing and had perfect clarity and closure around it. So I knew where I was, who I was, and what I was worth.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it comes from that too, because, there's different reasons to want closure from fear, from love. But I think that there can be wanting closure from a worthiness, like you were saying, or like an insecurity. Because
Yeah.
I know when I was going through like a phase where like I was getting divorced and, I was losing friends, there was a big part of me that wanted closure with some of those relationships because I wanted them to understand me. And, like when things don't work out, you kind of want people to understand your point of view. Or like somebody would say something, and I'm like, well, that's not what happened, or that's not what I did. And it would leave me, like you're saying, like almost feeling like unworthy or misunderstood and like insecure that people would think that of me. And I think for a long time it bothered me. And then I think it's important for women when stuff like that happens to, as hard as it is, to like refocus your mindset. And then I started to think instead of like wanting and having this need to have people understand me and know what really happened, I got to a point where I was like, well, if these people aren't reaching out to understand, if these people aren't communicating with me, if they don't want to actually know, what happened or get my side of it, like that became the closure that I was seeking because it validated for me instead of me looking at it from a perspective like I'm not worthy, they're not understanding me. I want them to get it. I want them to understand me. I want them to want to be here for me. I was like, wow, these people aren't even asking my side or wanting that closure. And that speaks volumes because it tells me everything I need to know about the type of person they are and the type of relationship we really had, you know?
Yeah, the misunderstanding part is a really good point. And I like how you also brought it up when it came to friends too.
Yeah, because I think wanting closure can happen in a lot of areas of our life, especially outside of romantic relationships. It can happen with falling out with family members and friends and, like these
Yeah.
big events where things don't work out and sometimes you're not sure why.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I like bringing that around. And it makes me think of the friendship breakup that I went through recently. It wasn't like a close friend or anything. It was just like a friend of a friend who I let into my space and my life, and I like kind of offered her a lot very quickly, like offered her a lot of support emotionally, and
Yeah.
like she like did some of my classes for my dating course, but like I didn't charge her, and she would always call me about dating stuff, and she felt like a client who wasn't paying and wasn't like she wasn't giving anything in return in a friendship, and the things I did ask for she couldn't give and just didn't, and would make all these excuses, and her yeah. So anyway, but she kept like demanding, like in our conversation of me trying to end things with her, like being like, hey, I have a lot going on in my life. Like, I wish you all the best. And I think, like, I just, yeah, I am sending you like all the love. And I I hope you have the best. Like, I want nothing but the best for you, and I just don't have energy or like I have nothing left to give this connection, and like I just need to kind of cut it off. And I'm sorry, but that's just what I need to be like to serve my heart and my life and what I need. Like I just need to not be connected to you. And I said it in a much more like eloquent, thought out way than right now. It's just
Yeah, but even
yeah.
the way you're saying it is still nice, you know?
Yeah, like I just tried to say like you didn't do anything wrong. Like you're not a bad person. Like I didn't say that, but just trying to communicate. Like it's not that she's wrong, she's horrible. It's just like it wasn't a match. Like it wasn't a
Hmm.
fit. I couldn't give what she was asking, and she also wasn't giving anything. So like, but anyway, I just wanted to say like she wasn't a bad person. I just didn't have any energy to give to the connection, and I didn't have space for it in my life. So she was like demanding to talk about it more and more and more, and was like just wouldn't let it go and kept blaming me and being like, well, you didn't communicate enough and I'm confused and like blah blah. And I'm like, the whole reason, like this conversation is exactly why I need to create, like, this is the answer. This
Hmm.
whole conversation, because her not getting why I would want to end the dynamic is like the reason of her not seeing how I was just over giving and she was asking for more. And in that conversation, I was giving as much as I could, and she just kept asking for more
Hmm.
and like putting the emotional labor on me. And I was like, I can't keep, I just need to cut it off. Like I have too much, and it was really stressing me out. And,
Yeah.
but it was so interesting because like, she was demanding closure, but nothing I could have said would have helped her understand in a way that would have made sense for her. And that was exactly the whole reason that was the problem in the relationship, like in the
Hmm.
friendship. Like, so there is no such thing as closure. It would have required her to have a different understanding or like different experiences to teach her what she would need to know in order to understand where I was coming from. So it's like sometimes it's not possible. And like it's just because of wherever each person is at in their life. And I don't think it's any one person's job actually to give closure. And a lot of people might be triggered by me saying that. I think because it's other people's emotions are not your job. I do think people should operate with kindness and integrity and like do what you can. But if it was a situation like mine where I was just so drained, had nothing to offer, like I need to prioritize myself in that scenario. Like, and I couldn't just keep prioritizing her emotions over mine. And so
Yeah.
I had to be okay with her thinking I was the bad person and had no closure, like, and because I was finally prioritizing how I felt and my needs, and that she just couldn't understand that, and that's fine. So that's also an aspect of like, it's okay to not like the closure is just that it's not a match. And like if it was, things would be different, but they're not. So I think that also is like closure can be a myth because like the closure is that. It's
Yeah.
it's
Well, and
like
I
the
think you
yeah.
offered her, I think you did offer her closure, and you did try to have the conversation. Like, I think there's a very big difference between like trying to have that conversation or just like someone being like, this isn't working and like ghosting someone or just leaving. So I think you did try to offer her that and you offered it to her in like a compassionate, mature way. I think there's a lot of people who will try to have that conversation and they become nasty or cruel or mean and then say this is why it didn't work it because of like this and then they blame it on the other person and like you were coming to her from a place of kindness and love and saying like look it's not wrong but like this isn't working and this is why and she couldn't accept that and
Yeah.
kept going. And so, like, at that point, then it's not your responsibility because you did tell her, it's not like you were just like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. You explained why it wasn't working. And so,
Yeah.
like, hopefully she can look back at that and
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, and we did have conversations over the course of a few days, like a week before that breaking point too. Like
Yeah.
I did try to explain my feelings and like my side and also listen to her, but it was like she was just not receiving and like not, yeah, and just putting all the emotional labor on me of like, I need to understand her trauma, where she's coming from, her thoughts, and she's not listening at all to any. So anyway, not to get it, not to get into it, but thank you. Yeah, I did try to explain it and have conversations. I was at some point, I was like, this is just a huge drain and adding absolutely nothing. And like I yeah, but
And I think like some people can, like you were saying, some people are different maturity levels,
yeah.
emotional maturity levels. It's not a bad thing or not. And like I know like a relationship I got out of recently, like when I tried to have, mature conversations with this person, and I don't think they're capable of it with like the nastiness that comes out. And so like at one point I just had to say like, look, you just can't meet me where I'm at. And like, I
Hmm.
didn't mean that as an insult or a dig, but like, some people just aren't there, and some people prioritize things that don't match with what you prioritize in life, you know? And so someone really can only meet you where they're at. So, like, I was seeking closure from somebody who, like, I couldn't even have a real mature conversation with, or like a kind and loving conversation with, you know? So, like, at
Yeah.
that point, like, it comes on to me, and that sucks. But, like, I just have to like look back and like say like I know why things didn't work out. I know things I didn't like, and I have to be able to accept that as
Yeah.
my closure, and say, okay, like that is my closure. I know why it didn't work. I know why it wasn't enough,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Well, also that was so awesome and like and big for you. Like that was so badass of the way you handled it because you hadn't had many experiences like that
Hmm.
till that point. Like you haven't had, extreme misunderstandings from people close to you who were supposed to be your close friend. Like
Hmm.
just hadn't had to navigate that for the most part from what
No,
I
like really, I was never in like any conflicts, let alone like
yeah.
relationship breaking conflicts, whether it's friendship, romantic,
Yeah.
Like I'm the kind of person who gets nervous when I put my 2 weeks in because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cutting
Yeah.
ties with you in the most respectful way, but I still feel like I'm abandoning you,
Yeah, or like doing something wrong or yep.
Yeah. So that is
Yeah.
really hard for me, but I think like in the last couple years I have learned to just accept like I like closure. I want closure. I'm a very emotional person. I like to figure it out. I like to feel settled with it, and I like to leave things in a good place. I
Yeah.
don't like even if a relationship or a friendship doesn't work, I
Yeah.
don't like it to end and not end well. I'd rather
Yeah.
be like this doesn't work from a loving place and like still have love for each other
Mhm.
than to have like animosity and stuff. And like, so I think that is almost harder for me than not having that neatly, tied up in a bow closure.
So what do you have any experiences of it being really neatly tied with love?
No. No. No.
Me, like kind of. Well, for relationships, yeah, for the most part. Like most of my exes, I feel like there's only one of them that I feel like would run away from me. But
If they saw you.
yeah, I feel like he would probably run away. Uh but yeah, no, most of my exes, like my one ex in Philly, like his now current wife, like I ran into them at a bar and I had a table and they were waiting for a long time. So I like was like, you guys can sit at my table. And like, yeah, and his wife is like, she was so cool. And I got to like talk to her. We talked for like 2 hours and like we had a lot of similarities. And so that was really nice. Like, and so I don't know, there's like romantic exes that I have like it's just like an indifference, like
Mhm.
yeah, like
And
I
like to
would
be honest, like I don't have a lot of exes, so I don't have a lot to like go off of.
yeah,
But I will say, like maybe like as terrible and as horrible as my divorce was,
yeah,
like I am in a good place with
yeah,
my ex now. Like, I mean, as good as you could be. And we
yeah.
are able to be around each other at our kids' events and
Mhm.
be cordial and friendly. And I do feel like there was so much hurt and like maybe a lot of that has been processed. So I don't think I've ever had it end nicely when I've left a relationship and we've been like, okay, like this is great, like love you, but it didn't work out. But
Yeah.
I do feel like I've gotten there now, which is good. And I'd rather get there eventually than
Yeah.
never get there because it just makes me feel settled. Like I like peace. I like
Yeah.
to be able to have things settled. I don't like conflict. So, I mean, and sometimes that brings up another point. Like, do you have to have closure right away when something ends? Or is it possible to not have that and then find that a year or two down the road?
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I don't know. You know, I love astrology and like I'm
Hmm.
Aquarius and any astrology women listening to this, like I am triple Aquarius. I will cut someone off so fast. Like if
Hmm.
if I start to notice like red flags or if someone feels draining or like they have disrespected me, I will
Hmm.
cut someone off so fast. Again, not in like a mean way, but like a I wish you luck and love and like I'm separating myself and I'm no longer available for this friendship or this connection. And I will do that so fast. I won't like ghost.
Yeah,
Most of the There were only a few friendships that I had where I realized that when I started learning about narcissism and I was going through a lot of healing and I healed my relationships and I healed I was healing from toxic relationships. And then when you heal from romantic toxic relationships, you start to realize your toxic friendships that mirror the similar
that
pattern.
happened to me during my
Yes.
divorce. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am like a magnet for
Yeah.
narcissists.
Yeah. You're like,
My
look at all these
gosh.
shitty people.
They all have the same personality. It's
Yeah. Why
like,
do they take so much and offer nothing in return?
yeah.
All of them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, why do they rely on you so much? And then when you need one thing for something huge, they're not there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I had a number of friends where I just was like, that's it. And some of them I didn't even say anything to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, one of them it was like a like she was yelling and we were just going in circles. She was going in circles and circles and another friend was there mediating and I was like, it got to the point where I was like, I cannot have this conversation with love and respect anymore. I need to remove myself because she was just getting so emotional, going in circles, get like crying, getting loud, like saying accusations and it was about something so stupid. And like it was saying that I said that a town that we drove by, I said it, this old town that from like the 1800s that we drove by in the middle of like upstate New York was pretty. And she thought the one I said was cute was the one that had like a couple like Confederate flags. And I was like, no, it wasn't
Oh.
that one. It was the one after that. And my friend who was from that area was like, oh, I know the one that you're talking about, Sam. Like, it is really cute. And the other friend, the friend that I cut off, was like, no, it was the one with the Confederate flags, and you're being an ignorant white person, all this stuff. And I was like, that's not the one I was talking about. And then she was bringing up all this other stuff and getting hysterical. And it's like, that's a classic narcissist thing to do is to like circulate like and to bring
I had a
in.
relationship like that where they would say like you meant this when you said this or like you said this and I'd be like no I didn't or like oh no when I said that I didn't mean it like this I meant it like that and they'd say no you didn't and I'd be like how are you going to tell me how I meant what I said and like I
Yeah,
think
or what
that
I
goes
saw.
yes and that goes to someone's character too where it's like I've found it's like if you're in a relationship where people don't give you the benefit of the doubt
Yes.
which I learned the hard way. If you have a partner or a friend who does not give you the benefit of the doubt, it's
Yeah.
not going to work out because why aren't they doing that? Why don't they see you that way where they can give you that benefit of the doubt? Or why don't they have that maturity where they can do that? It's like they just have to be right, what they think is right always, no matter what. So, like, I think that that's like a huge red flag in a relationship, because why wouldn't she just say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I'm glad you weren't talking about that other town because this
Yeah.
would have bothered me." And
Yeah.
like people
Or,
like
oh,
that
I
you can't
didn't see
reason
that
with.
one. Yeah, or oh, I didn't see that other town. I only saw the first one, so I was confused. My bad. Like,
It's somebody who can't be wrong and they just
yeah.
think whatever they think has to be right, even if the person's telling you that's not what I said or that's not what I meant.
Yeah, and I was glad my other friend was there and it was
Yeah.
so funny because so when I said that, I was like, I can no longer have this conversation with love and respect. I need to remove myself. And then I left and like went to my room. I went up the stairs. I was like crying. And then by the time I got to the top of the stairs, I stopped crying because I was like, wow, I handled that so well.
I'm
Like
so
I'm
proud of myself.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so proud of myself. And then by the time I got to the top of the stairs, I wasn't even crying anymore. I felt like I was like, oh.
Oh,
But then
good.
yeah, but that person, obviously, like I loved that person. They were a very close friend, and it was hard to let them go. But at that moment, I was like, I cannot, and I just never talked to her again. She left in the morning. My friend who was there was like, I think you need to leave. Like, I think you need to sort some things out. Like, and I think maybe you should move on. I think you should leave. And so she had some other friends that were like nearby for some like Burning Man adjacent camping thing. And so she met up with them. But yeah, and then my friend was like, I'm so proud of you. Like that felt like a master class in like patience and like resolving conflict. Like you really like are grounded and can like wow, I'm very like impressed and I can't believe you were so calm and you
No,
never
I am too. Yeah, I mean, it is very impressive that you can do that because, like, I know the person that I was involved with who would do stuff like that all the time. I mean, I entertained that for a long time and accepted that and just went around and around and around and arguments trying to be like, but like that person they were never going to see any other side. You know what I
no.
mean? They just didn't have, again, they didn't have the capacity to do it for a lot of different reasons. And they couldn't meet me where I was at. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't be an adult and give someone that you have any kind of relationship with the benefit of the doubt, I don't even know like what to say about like what kind of person you are. Because like if that's someone who's your friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, like what are you even doing? Like you're
Yeah.
probably not even in a state where you're mature enough to have a relationship.
Yeah. Well, and I know none of our listeners are like that, but they'll probably
No,
have
of
people.
course not.
They probably have people in their life who are, and that is such a good like rule slash like measuring stick. And I said this to this guy that I met when I moved here, because he was very much like, I don't know, I'm kind of always of the stance of like if there's an issue between a guy and a girl, a man and woman, like the woman is probably correct. Like I'm on the her
Mm,
side. I don't even need to hear his side. I'm on
yeah.
her side. But there was a situation that a new friend of mine explained to me, and I actually had an issue which she was lived in the house that I lived in, like in an apartment in the same old house that was broken up into apartments. And so yeah, he like felt he's like a very sensitive, caring, actually caring person who like David or like Ben, my fiance, where like if you tell him something, he is gonna digest it, think about it, like look it up, process it, like get a therapist. Like he can't just like you can't just casually say something to him, like he deeply cares. And so, but I explained to him, I was like, if this person isn't interested in resolving a conflict that honestly was about something very small, like it was like a slight miscommunication that wasn't his fault, I was like, that if they're completely unreasonable and like not trying to find a resolution, then that there's nothing you can do. And
Mm,
that just tells you where the dynamic is at. And like you, all you can do is try your best. And like some things there can't be a resolution, like what I shared with my friend, like it just wasn't a match. Like, and that's okay. It doesn't mean she's a horrible person. It doesn't mean I am. Like it's just not a match. Um, and like that's all right. But if someone, like you said, like if they're just not interested in hearing your side, giving you the benefit of the doubt, or being like curious at all, like, oh, well, maybe I was wrong when I thought that or said that, or like maybe I jumped to conclusions, or maybe I didn't hear them out. Like Yeah, or just like, okay, maybe I'm right, but maybe this person, maybe I would like to give them a chance. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I think that's like the biggest rule to keep in your back pocket is like, is this person actually trying to seek like a resolution together to find a solution together? Or is it just like me versus you and it's just going in circles and like going nowhere? Because if someone's
Exactly.
just trying to fight you, you can't like I
Yeah, because some
fight.
people are just like that and they're just argumentative. And yeah, like I feel like I'm finally in a place in my life where I've learned to do that in like disagreements. I think for a while, not that I had like not that I would stand by what I thought if I was arguing with somebody, but I feel like I've really learned how, like, if I get into a disagreement with somebody, like, I do move to resolve now, you
Yeah.
know? And I do want to, like, figure out what happened, no matter, like, my fault, their fault, you know? And I think that's important. And I think that's a skill that, like, a lot of people do lack, you know, because their ego kind of gets in the way. And it has to be a you versus me, and someone has to be right and someone has to be wrong. But sometimes you can have an argument, and it's not that one person was right or wrong. Like
Yeah.
maybe it is like a misunderstanding or something, and then you just talk about it, work it out, and you move on. But some people
Yeah.
aren't capable of that.
Exactly. Keyword move on.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the other thing too. Like every little thing doesn't have to be a huge thing. And when something that's so small and every single argument becomes a huge thing, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then if you're like that in a relationship, how do you get closure out of a relationship like that when it ends?
Well, that's another thing is a lot of people, and this is something that pertains more to dating and men. And like again, I share about this in my dating course, but the sensual reset. But you can't get closure with someone who is not being authentic because the version of
Mhm.
them that you knew was not real. So that
Yes,
you can't, which Amber, you know about.
I
Um,
do know that. Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
And
trying to reason or like figure something out in your mind with somebody who was kind of an illusion. Who,
yes.
you know, when somebody comes into your life, they present one way, and then you find out down the road that they are not that person at all. And then it's this fight in your mind and in your heart because I think that also will lead to a lot of women being like, oh, well, like, let's just get him back to the guy who was at the beginning of the relationship. Like, what
Yeah.
happened that now he changed? Like, I know he can be that guy, but you have to accept, like, he was never that guy. He was that guy because he knew that's who you wanted. And then once a certain amount of time goes by, or once like certain control features are put in place, like the real person shows up, and you have to be willing to accept that. And I don't think you get closure in a situation like that.
Yeah. Tale as old as time. Beauty and the Beast. Like she's trying to make him the prince again. Like, honey, like sometimes I can't ever change back.
Yeah, and that's hard to accept. It
Yeah.
is. And that's something else too. Like, so, okay, if you have a situation
Mhm.
where you cannot get closure from the other person, you know it's not going to happen, you know they're not capable of it. Even if you have a conversation with them, you don't even know if it's going to be honest, right?
Yeah.
Because of like illusions and hiding things and dishonesty. So if
Yeah.
you can't do that, I saw somewhere that says something like, and I think you've said this to me too, that when you break up with somebody or like someone who is in your life consistently, that a
Mhm.
certain amount of days has to go by for your brain to like disassociate with them, like 22 or something like that. Have you heard of that? And do you think that's true?
Oh yeah. So, okay, multiple things with this. There's a person. So when I went through a breakup that like I had dreams about us getting back together,
Hmm.
mom was like, I think it's just not over. Like, I think you guys are gonna get
You're
married.
like, I think so too.
I know, it's like
He's
me,
coming back.
it's not over yet. It
Mm,
feels unfinished between us. Like
yeah.
that delusional stuff. So, there's a YouTube channel that I found where it was like, um, God, what's it called? The no contact like relationship coach. Basically, he teaches like if you go no contact with your ex, like you will get them back. Like
Mm,
they will miss you. And he teaches, like, if you don't talk to them for 30 days, that's the point when they start missing you. And then on the 45th day, that's typically when they will like start to reach out again, because they've had enough time for their brain to
mm.
process that you're gone. And yeah, so
Don't love that.
don't follow that. Don't get trapped. That's called limerence. It's a trauma response.
Ugh, I don't
Um,
love that because you're setting women up to wait and hold on and linger. And what if it really is over? And then now you've been sitting around for 45 days counting down and it's
yep.
over. And now you could have been working on getting over this person for the last 45 days.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. He is kind of teaching you. I will say the only positive thing is he is teaching you to he is saying like focus on yourself and
Okay.
like prioritize yourself. And whether they come back or not, like the process is the same. Like whether you just get over them or they
Okay.
come
I
back,
like
the process.
that.
Yeah, so that actually isn't like too bad of advice. Like
Because
prioritize.
45 days is a long time to hold on and then have to start over again, like
Well, the whole
mourning a
thing.
relationship.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of bull crap, is total bull crap. I do think people should have self-respect and not reach out to an ex and go no contact. Like I think that that is healthy. Unless, I mean, if it was like a casual ending that wasn't dramatic or like toxic and you can be cordial and just say hi, like that's fine, whatever. But people know what I'm talking about, like the situations.
Yeah.
But oh, so yeah. Oh, the closure. So wanting closure. So I wasn't allowing closure in that scenario.
Mm.
Um, and like just not focused on myself and thinking that that person had the key to all the love I was ever going to receive because they treated me so amazing and like the connection felt so good. And it was like after going through crappy relationships, when you finally have something pretty good, it like feels like the only thing that you'll ever experience like that, rather
Hmm.
than taking it as evidence that there's so much love in this world and like that was closer to what you deserve and it still wasn't the best it's going to be. Um,
Yeah.
so knowing that, but um, yeah, okay. What did you say again? Because I had two very distinct points, but then I got
Mm.
lost
I
on
think
the
so.
YouTube.
Like, how do you get closure in a scenario like that where somebody's deceptive, there's illusions, and like you're not going to be able to get that from this person because like that maturity was never there to begin with.
Okay, yes, yes. Well, so yeah, time, your brain needs time. One thing, so with that person, that mom was like, I think you guys are gonna get married in
Oh,
September.
she really put the hope in there.
I
Not
know,
only are you
nothing,
getting back together, but you're getting married.
yeah, nothing like a prophetic mother to
Uh,
instill the rumination and obsession.
yeah.
But my friend was actually extremely helpful. He was like, you know what we need to do? We need to go back to all the places you have memories with him, and we will make new memories immediately. We
I
need to,
love that.
yeah, he was like, we're gonna override the my gay bestie at the time. He
I
was like,
want to
we're
get
gonna,
bestie.
yeah,
I
gay
have one.
bestie,
Anybody out
yes.
there? I'm looking for a couple. That'd be amazing.
Amber's in New Jersey. I'm in Richmond. If you want to be our gay besties, let us
Yes.
know.
Yeah, those are the
Um,
only guys I want around me right now.
yeah, we love men who are gay.
Mm.
And um, but yeah, so we went to where we had our first date and we went with a group of friends and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was so worried coming here and now I had such a beautiful day. I had so much fun and like I love this place. Like we went to the
Yeah.
river. And I was like, it feels so so good to reclaim this space as like a place I love that, like, thank you. And then yeah, we did so many things like in a week we got it done. Like
That's such
going and
beautiful advice. I've actually like never heard that. It makes so much sense.
really, yeah, because
Yeah.
you're not like holding on to those memories of like you passed by the movie theater you went to and you're like, oh, the last time I was there it was with Jonathan or like something
Hmm.
like that. It's just like, oh yeah, I went to go see the Barbie movie there with my friends or mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say that I passed a place that would have reminded me of my ex today. And we've been broken up for like 2 months or whatever, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I passed it today and I was like, And I was like, oh, that's
Good.
nice. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, I remember when he said this and we did
Yeah.
that. I was just kind of like, okay. I just kept on
Yes.
moving. And like, that was really nice to feel, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
like, I was able to get there without making those memories. And if I had like something else super fun that happened there, I think that would have like replaced even like thinking about him at all to just
Yeah.
like, oh, I remember when I was there with my friends and we did this, or, you know? So
Yeah,
I
because
love
it's
that.
like you would have had like that memory still would have popped up like, oh, when I was there with that person. But then on top of it would be like, oh, but the most recent time was this time
And
with the
yeah, and this was super fun and
yeah.
felt good and safe and loving. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing for trauma. Like I dated someone who was a Navy officer and like he he was in EOD, like McGuire, what's that guy's name? MacGyver.
MacGyver.
MacGyver, he was EOD. Yeah, like jumped out of planes, like would disassemble bombs on the bottom of
I don't even know if
submarines.
some of our listeners will know who MacGyver is, just so you know.
Oh my God,
MacGyver
yeah.
is very old school. So if you don't know who MacGyver is,
Yeah.
Google it. He was just this guy who would like get out of any situation with like a paper clip and
Yeah.
like,
And a rubber band.
oh
Like he did.
yeah, like random
Yeah.
things. But he was
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was very masculine and sexy and
Yes.
it was a great show. Our mom watched it. But yeah, he wait, I forget what I was gonna say now. Oh, he said, yes, here we go. He
Okay.
said,
Found it.
he found it. There we go. Good job, brain. He said that when someone has a bad experience, like if they jump out of a plane and their chute doesn't deploy properly and they get to the ground and they're like, it was traumatic, they will
Mhm.
send them up in the plane immediately to make them do it again as fast as possible. So that way they can override that experience with a positive one. And like, so then they send him up and then the shoot goes properly. Everything comes out. He's safe. He's fine. Didn't need a rescue. He could be alone. So that way it like immediately rewrites that trauma and that fear of like, so our brain operates. I'm a big neuroscience geek and I just got trained in psyche and
Okay.
yeah, and I'll be doing another training where I can actually start taking clients at the end of the month. But so our brain really hates open loops. The uncertainty of an open loop feels unsafe to our brain. So it tries to fill in the loop with assumptions or with previous experiences. So, for example, like having that negative experience of jumping out of the plane and having his parachute not like open properly, that his brain, when he goes to like jump out again, will revert back to that most recent experience and it will
Mm.
feel fear. And as a survival technique, it'll be like, don't do that because it like might not work out. Like that wouldn't be smart. But because they send them up immediately to have a good experience and have their parachute open perfectly, like their brain now can complete the loop in a way that doesn't create fear.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, like, so this is a tactic actually. Narcissists and manipulative people know this. And they know it without even understanding like the brain or neuroscience, but it's like they create open loops in your mind by like saying things that don't make sense. And so as a human, we want to get to the bottom of it. We want closure.
Mm.
So we will like ask questions, try to make changes, problem solve. Like if you're a normal, healthy, loving person, you will do those things, like try to resolve the conflict, try to like create communication and understanding and bend over backwards to figure out what happened and how to make it better. And then they will just keep you confused and
Mm.
keep those open loops as a way to keep you in like survival mode,
Yeah.
feeling unsafe and needing them to create safety for you when they do finally give you some semblance of clarity or
Mm.
understanding. And then you feel relief because that loop is closed and you have closure and you're like, oh, thank God. Now I understand a little bit and but that they just keep that cycle going. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm. So it kind of sounds like closure can be something that you can create for yourself.
Oh,
And
1000%.
maybe that's really the best thing anyway. You know, it's hard to rely on somebody else to help you like resolve your feelings, you know?
I will say I have this friend Cass. She's Cassidy O'Neill if you want to look her up because she's amazing and she does like creative group calls or like she just always is doing like different things like writing groups and she's incredible and just sunshine as a human being. And
Mhm.
she like is a sweet like Pisces heart, just like her inner child and her like love. She's just so full of love and but she will literally like have a feeling come up about an ex or a person she hasn't talked to in like 10 years. She will write them a letter and mail it to them. Like she will
Wow.
or she will call them, or she will reach out, like she'll be like, I have this feeling, I'm gonna share it. And she does it with like no expectation. Like she does it because she's like, oh, I want to feel lighter and I want to like get this off of my like soul. I want to release it. And
Hmm.
that's her process. And it works for her. And it has led, I've seen it lead to like really beautiful conversations and like
Yeah.
beautiful exchanges and it gives her sometimes more clarity and other times I feel like it's maybe just like harping on a relationship you just have to let go of.
Hmm.
But that's also a process and a way to navigate things. It's very different than how I would navigate something. I do believe if you have something you want to share and say, I think we have this one precious, beautiful life, and I think you should say it. Like,
Hmm. I
as
agree
it
too.
Yeah,
I feel
because
like
it
the worst thing you can do is let leave things unsaid. You know, like obviously, like if it's a toxic situation or something, sometimes it's best to do that. But
yeah,
like you don't want to be walking around with regrets or what ifs and stuff like that, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's when like rituals are really good, like writing the letter but burning it or
Hmm.
burying it or gathering some rocks and walking and thinking about the relationship and the dynamic and then letting the rocks go one at a time to
Oh, that's
represent like
nice.
yeah, to represent you
Yeah.
go. It actually, that's like they've studied the brain during that process. It's really effective for grief and PTSD. Um,
Yeah.
it's really powerful and really easy. They used to do that for like, it's an indigenous practice, like using it for grief of when someone dies. But
Hmm.
the other thing I'll say is I, this is when I didn't have a gay bestie, but I did have a best guy friend that we've been really close for like 15 years, but we just like we don't talk often, but when we do, it's for like 7 hours and we just catch up on everything. And he's just been a really awesome, like almost like a spiritual guide for me a lot of times. And he's like an insomniac, like always up super late. So I could call him if it's 5 a.m., like he's up. He's
He's
been
always
up.
there for me.
He's no, I mean he's like not asleep yet.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't
Mhm.
gone to sleep yet. But yeah, I used to call him sometimes when th things felt like they were falling apart because also we were like long distance friends. So, um, but I remember one time he said to me, he's given me quite a few like lines that I repeat to myself that have really impacted my life. But he said to me one time, Sam, you're going to live a long, beautiful life, and this is one very hard moment in that long, beautiful life.
Yeah.
And that it helped me reorient like, oh yeah, this is a moment and I am gonna have a long, beautiful life. And I have
Mhm.
had and will continue having a long, beautiful life. And this is just one really big challenge that I'm navigating, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I feel like I feel like it can be pretty infrequent that you're navigating something and people have the wisdom and that clarity of seeing the bigger picture and grounding you and being like, you're gonna be okay. Like you are safe. This is
Yeah.
hard, but like when I was really sick, like I would have given anything for someone to like say that to me. Like
Yeah.
Like this
I
is so,
agree too. Yeah.
yeah. Like no
Mhm.
one could say that to me. They're like, "Oh, what'd the doctor say?" "Oh no, okay." And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about you, but like because we both were going through extreme things at the same time. So like we
Yeah.
neither of us could have done that for each other at the time.
Yeah.
But that's something now that I've been able to do that for mom a couple like
Mhm.
when she's been in the hospital or out or like getting her procedures. Like I've been like, I know without a doubt that you are healthy and you will be fine and that this is just one hard moment, but everything is okay. And I promise you everything is okay. And like being able to speak with that certainty to someone is like such a gift. And
Mm.
like, if doctors did that to their patients, like so many people would heal or like be okay. And I know legally you can't like say that, but just having like a wise person who can be like, you're like, I know it's gonna be okay.
Well,
And
yeah, because sometimes when you're going through something or like the ending of something, it does feel all consuming, you know? And so like it's hard to see past that. So sometimes having somebody reminding you that like you will get past it and but like without invalidating your feelings is
yes,
really
yes,
important.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um
Holding that safe, solid
yeah.
ground while also like making you feel safe and like solid, but also like loving you and listening to you.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so I have one more question when it comes to closure.
Yeah.
So when you're getting out of a relationship and you're looking to move on, whether you've gotten that closure or not, do you think it's better for women to kind of jump into a new relationship or start dating to try to like get their mind off of things? Or do you think it's better to take some time and be alone and then feel like you've processed everything before you go back out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would love to hear your thoughts. I have many thoughts on this. I got out of a 3.5 year relationship where we lived together and um, we went through some like big things together. And when I moved out, I did date someone pretty soon after that, and it was really good. And then it didn't last very long though. And then I was like, you know what? I think there's a lot of relationship things I need to work on that I don't understand. And there's some patterns that I don't like.
Mm.
So I worked with like one of the best like relationship coaches. I was in their membership for a year. I went to all the calls. I did the program. I did all the things. I wasn't dating. I was celibate. And when I started dating again, and I accidentally, and then it was like pandemic time, and then that's when I got sick and then moved. And like, so it ended up being like a long time of
Yeah.
like,
Longer than you thought.
it was like, yeah, it was like 11 months of intentional celibacy and not dating. And then it turned into like way longer than that because of everything that happened. But when I
Yeah.
started dating some people again, I learned fucking nothing. I
Yeah.
learned I learned so much, but you don't learn when you don't practice. And
Hmm.
dating is one of those things because things come up and they test you, and your brain will revert to your last experience, not your last like lesson that you learned in a
Yeah.
class. So it's like well, you have to go through the experience and then make a new choice
Hmm.
that like then that anchors in what you learned into your brain. So it's
Yeah.
like yeah, so when I started dating again, I was like making all the same mistakes because I wasn't practicing when I was, and then also what I was learning was like encouraging being a doormat, and it was like be super feminine and like use your emotions to communicate, not your words. And it was very, yeah, it was
Hmm.
not it
Yeah,
was
I get that. Yeah.
yeah. But so okay, so I think I don't th I think people should take time for themselves 100%. I think like I don't know. My perspective now is that if you actually want to find your soulmate, if you want to find your husband, I think you need to only focus on yourself, love yourself, invest in yourself, and only focus on yourself. Do not think about dating. Do not do anything related to dating. And it's when you're living your best life and you're like doing things strictly led by joy
Hmm.
and your intuition and what feels good for you, you will come across the person that you are meant to be with because and joy will have brought you there. And
Mm,
then your life will be so full that they will have to prove themselves to you to be able to be a part of it. And
yeah.
that is, in my eyes, the only way to have a really healthy, good relationship
Yeah.
for,
Yeah, I think that's great.
yeah. But
I
that's my
do.
personal opinion.
Yeah. I know. I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer. I think we can only share like our experiences and like what we've seen and been through. And
Yeah.
then like, people can let us know what they've been through and think like, like I rushed back out to dating and it was the best decision I ever made, or I took time for myself and I felt like that helped me get back into the dating pool later with a better understanding of what I need? So,
I will say, if it's negatively impacting your life, like if you're
hmm
dating and it's stressing you out
yeah.
and like taking from you, I think you should stop and
hmm
like focus on yourself. I think dating should be fun, and I think you should definitely be very smart and know like safety protocols. And I think you should have systems in place that keep you safe. And yeah, but I do think it should mostly be very fun. And if it's not, then I think that's when it's time to take a break and to just focus on yourself. I do think love addiction is real, and
hmm
I think it's something people should explore if they're always jumping from relationship to relationship and like
Yes.
prioritizing romantic love with a man as the center of their life and their
hmm
universe. I think then that should be well examined with love and honesty. And you don't have to go to I mean, therapy would be like cool, but I don't think it's like necessary. I think you can, because I was very like centering men in romantic relationships where like everything
Yes.
revolved around that. And I was able to do that without going to therapy, but like a lot of people do need that support, and there's nothing wrong with like giving yourself support. That's like beautiful. For me, it was just like, okay, I didn't have that as an option. So like YouTube University became like I just learned as much as possible on my own. So, um,
I agree with that. I think
yeah,
decentering men is a very healthy thing to do. And I think it's something that some of us have been wired just to do to center our life around a man. I mean, even like I love our grandmother so much, but when we were teenagers and we were young, she lived out of state. And every time I would visit, the first question she would say is, Amber, do you have a boyfriend? Oh,
yeah,
how long have you had your boyfriend for? So, like, even just old values like that,
yeah,
from a young age put into my mind that, like, whether I'm doing well or not depends on if I have a boyfriend. And I always had a boyfriend. And then it's something that came like into my life where like I was always in a relationship, and like usually like long-term relationships. So I feel like after my marriage, it was a mistake for me to get into a relationship pretty quickly. I think that it was hard for me to think about being alone after being in such a long marriage. So for a lot of reasons, it was comforting jumping into a relationship that then became a very serious relationship after my divorce. But
yeah,
it felt chaotic a lot. And I think it was chaotic for a lot of reasons, and it never felt stable. And I think that like I didn't have that peace or that grounding as like an individual. And I was relying on my partner to provide that. Like I
yeah,
was looking to feel calm if he was calm, or feeling stable if he was stable or if his life was stable, and it wasn't. And so that trickled down to me. And so I feel like I did learn a lot about that. And I spent a lot of time alone after that relationship because like I wanted to be able to figure out what I needed to feel good. And I am in a place where like I'm not in a relationship, but I feel really great. And I'm super happy, and everything in my life makes me happy. And so, like, now I'm at a point that if I meet somebody or while dating, if it like happens, like that's great and they'll get added to the life, which would be awesome, but like it's not a necessity right now. And I think
yeah,
that's really good. And I think like you were saying, that'll lead me to finding a partner that is my match and somebody who can meet me where I need to be.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you want to find an amazing person, be a man hater because it's like, like I said to Ben, my fiance, the other day, we were in Target and we went to a flea market and then we went to Target and it was like 87 degrees here. And I was
Mhm.
wearing this like tank top and capri pants and like kind of like workout stuff. And because it was like we were sweating so much, it was so hot. And men were like being so creepy, just like staring and looking. And I hate summer because of that reason, like
Yeah.
being in a way that I can not be too hot, but also like just men being gross. So we were in a parking lot and I was like, we were walking by all these dudes and I was like, I hate men except you. I was like, I hate all men except you. You're the only one. And he
It's
was like,
true.
yeah. And he was like, it makes me so happy like
Yeah.
that like I make the cut. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, obviously, I hate that you have those experiences and like you don't get to just feel like yourself and carefree, but like I'm glad that I can help you feel safer and that you do feel safer on me. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but I
and
think
yeah, I understand that. And I feel like I've experienced that a lot. And like
Mhm.
something like now that I'm single and stuff, like if I do like catch a guy, like looking at me and I think he's cute, like I'll be like, oh, okay. Like, like who's this? But then I see their wedding ring, or then I see them with their wife or their girlfriend or whoever it is at the store or whatever, walking like two steps behind them. And I'm like, ew. I'm
yeah.
like, you either are married or you have this woman right here who has decided to grace you with her presence. And
Mhm.
you're walking in front of her, which I think is incredibly rude. And you're looking at me. Like, I kind of want to be like, hey, girl, like, this guy is not it. Like, I don't know what it is. Dump him. Let's go to lunch and we'll
Yeah.
be single together. But like, that
Yeah.
happens a lot. And
Yeah.
when that happens, I am just kind of like, oh, guys, like
Yeah.
some of these men out here are just,
Yes. Yep.
it's just like no respect, no
Yeah.
respect for the relationship or the partner they have.
Yes. The easiest way to weed out all of those losers is to be a man hater because you will make the guy prove themselves in order to grace them with your presence. And like, I feel like that's the thing that women are afraid to be a man hater, but it's like that
Mhm.
will literally set you free in terms of like dating because you will just never be with one of those. Like, I know even if
Yeah,
I'm with my fiance, I know I would never, ever be with like one of those dudes. Ever.
yeah.
I know it would
Mhm.
never happen because I would just see it, I would smell it, I would be like, I wouldn't be like, oh, but he like this or oh, he this. Like, no, not for a
Mhm.
single second. So I don't know. I feel like it's the ultimate hack in terms of dating. But like,
Yeah.
and good men love to prove themselves. But anyway, um, yeah, the closure and what you were saying about like dating, feeling good to date and like taking time. I do think like in your case, like you haven't really dated at all.
Mm-mm.
So I feel
No.
like it would be good for you to go date and like have
Yeah.
fun. And
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I get it. I think so too.
Yeah.
I just have to be ready for a lot of disappointment. Because I feel like, as they should be, my standards are really high right now. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's part of the fun is knowing that 99.9% of them are not going to be right.
Yeah.
Because what you're looking for is something special and unique and like and rare. And so like it's okay that most of them are not going to be it. And just
Yeah.
knowing that rather than like whereas in the past I used to be like, well, if I love him enough or if he loves me enough, he'll transform into that version of a
Mhm.
person I want to be with and no.
Yeah, that never works.
I can kiss the frog into a prince.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've determined that closure, I mean, for me, I don't think is a myth, but I don't think it's generally in the traditional sense that I would think, where you sit down and you have that conversation with that person, you tie everything up, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to let this go. I think closure is something that happens over time a lot, and it's something that's really something that you work through and like can get there. So,
Maybe closure isn't even the right word, and maybe someone can pick a different word for it or their own word for it. But I think if you're seeking closure, a powerful thing you could do is write down all the things that you learned from the situation and just have gratitude for that, no matter what it may be. And this could be any scenario, like even if what you're grateful for doesn't have to do with what the experience was. But just to kind of reorient your brain and to make yourself like feel safe and have certainty that like, okay, that experience feels uncertain and how it ended feels uncertain, but I have all of this certainty around my health and my family and nature and things that bring me joy. Something to
Mhm.
ground you. So like maybe you don't need closure, maybe you just need ground to be grounded, to feel grounded. Maybe you need just like some comfort and sweet love and like take yourself to go get ice cream and watch your favorite movie. So
Yeah.
like kind of just changing the direction of your brain and to stop obsessing over it and allow it to allow that energy and focus to move on to something else um, can be powerful.
I agree. I think your thoughts and how you let your thoughts ruminate is very important. So, like changing your thought process, being really positive about things. And I remind myself too that, like, the whole point of this life is nothing will stay the same. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing in this life that does stay the same and everything changes. And so like sometimes it's hard when it changes faster or before we were expecting it to, but things ending is a natural part of life. And like so sometimes I'll remind myself of that and just know like this was going to end one day. No matter how it did, it does. And it can be a beautiful thing and just move on to the next thing. And I know it's cliche, but in relationships they say if that relationship ended and you thought it was the best and you thought it was going to be forever, just imagine what's in store for you. Because if that wasn't it, then there's something even better waiting for you. And I do believe that. I do believe that for everybody out there. It's hard
Yeah.
to like focus on that sometimes if you're lonely or if you're out of a relationship and you're really craving it or you feel like you're behind with your friends on a timeline. But it is true. And everything does happen for a reason. So it's just good to
Yeah.
stay positive.
My mantra before meeting Ben was that I get closer and closer every time. And so
Yeah.
I'd get excited because I'd be like, ooh, I just know that I'm closer
Yeah. Yeah.
now. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I thought you were going to say, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And I was like,
I do actually like
no,
that quote. I'm not gonna lie, isn't that Dr. Seuss? I love that.
I hate that. Oh my God.
What? Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Yeah, no.
You're not gonna
But
change my
I will.
mind. I like it.
Yeah, I think if you want to smile, bake yourself some cookies, put your feet in the grass, and call
Yeah.
yourself a sexy bitch in the mirror, and that's all you need.
Well, that doesn't hurt either. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we would love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. Is closure something that you could get from someone else? Is closure something that you get from yourself? Is closure a myth and there's never closure and you just have to move on with your life? I don't know, but that's
Make
all
sure
we
you give
do.
us a rating on
Yes.
Spotify and
Mhm.
subscribe on YouTube. Feel free to email us, follow us on Instagram. I'm at Sammy B Love. Amber is posting some really cute shorts. If you want
Yeah.
to join the dating course, the Sensual Reset that I have, we'll put a link in the description. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.
All right. Bye.